First thing you notice walking through a school this size, a community this small, is that you're not walking into a school. It's like you're walking into a home. This is a family. To see a community so close to each other is great, but it can also be tough when tragedy strikes. With only 84 kids in the whole building, you can imagine that when a junior or any student, whether it be suicide or the loss by a car accident or something, you can imagine how this would rock a community. I get the privilege and opportunity to be a source of hope to a community that has been rocked by tragedy. Let's be honest, we are all a mess. And that is the common ground that we must come together and pick each other up. One jam-packed day of counseling, motivating, and teaching the faculty the tools to dig themselves out of the state they unfortunately find themselves in. Hello, Tobacco and the Flathead Valley communities. To the school communities to include educators, parents, teens, and concerned citizens. My friends, my name is Jeff Yalden. I've spent 30 years working in school communities, uncovering and educating on the darkest thoughts and feelings of today's young people, suicide prevention and mental health. I've also written 4 best-selling books, including Teen Suicide, The Why Behind America's Suicide Epidemic. It ranked #1 on school safety and school psychology for a long time. But listen, I don't want to make this about me. I want to make this about you individually, and also collectively as small Montana towns or clusters that make up your valleys. I know many of you know each other, and our schools probably have some great rivalries. My friends, I truly love high school. I love sports. I love teaching. I love watching our young people grow up from childhood through becoming a young adult in the process. I love parenting. I love my work as an educator. Unfortunately, the course of my life has found myself successful in a career that comes from hardship. But I went through it myself, and I truly love what I do, and I love that I get to serve others. Recently, Pastor Jeremy has reached out to me, and we've spent quite a bit of time talking, and I asked him if it would be okay if I share my heart with you. And so if you are listening, I want to thank you. And I ask you to understand that these are my words, and Pastor Jeremy is not responsible for anything I say, or he hasn't asked me to say anything in particular. This is my heart to yours. And please, I ask you to try and be understanding as I am intentional with my intentions this morning, and I want to be sensitive and respectful to all. My friends, I want to give my heart to each and every one of you. And so to be safe, I think it's best that I don't use any names or talk about recent events, because I have not spoken to any families. I've not spoken to school administration or any counselors, and I do not want to add any more to their already full plate, and I certainly don't want to add pieces that they might have to pick up from what I might say. I hope you understand and know that I'm doing this out of respect and love, not out of disrespect to anyone. I just want to lend my heart and a voice that has experience, and my friends, more experience than I care to talk about. You know, anytime a family loses a child, it's absolutely devastating. Parents aren't supposed to bury their children, but anytime a school community loses one of their own, it's also devastating. It's also traumatic, especially in such small community clusters. When we grow up together, we go to church together, we hunt, we farm, we do many of the same activities. We all know one another. So when one person is hurt, we're all hurting. I'm very sorry, my friends, for the past 18 months of what I've come to understand, what you all have been going through. I send my most sincere condolences, my thoughts, my love, and light from my heart to each and every one of you. And mourning and questioning why. I want you to know that you are loved and cared for. As I said to Pastor Jeremy, I'm available any way that I can be. But y'all need to know that you have trusted and significant adults, friends, caring people in your inner circle that need to hear from you. You know, we can't help you if we don't know that you need help. And so I want to just be another voice that says it's okay to not be okay. And it's also okay to ask for help. I did. And I continue to do so, and I will always never be afraid to say, hey man, I just need to vent, and I just need someone to listen to. And I have my trusted circle of professionals who become friends, and we share and listen to one another, and we often find out that we're having the same thoughts and feelings, and it's nice to be able to just talk without judgment. And you can create this for yourself too. But if you don't speak out, you'll end up acting out. And speaking out, it lowers the anxiety and it makes you feel better. So I need you to understand that if you can't speak it out, you'll end up acting it out. Listen, thoughts are thoughts. Just like an arm is an arm, a leg is a leg. But my friends, feelings. Feelings and sharing your feelings is not a sign of weakness. Whether you're a young man or young lady, an older man or older lady, it's important that you have a support network of friends and trusted people who are non-judgmental and respectful of your feelings, and that they can compassionately listen without judgment. And when I say compassionately listen, it's not that you're listening to think about what you're going to respond with, because most of the time when people just want to vent, they don't want your opinion. They just want you to listen. Likewise, I'll tell you, if a true friend listens non-judgmentally to their friend as well, then you have to reciprocate that. You've got to be that person. As you want this person in your life, I challenge you to also be that person. Let me ask you a question. Who is the hardest person to get to know? Think about that. We go through life always trying to figure out who we are. We spend years figuring out our place in the world. It's okay. Here's what I want for you. I want you to just strive to be the person that you aspire to be. That's it. Don't stress it. Be a kind person who doesn't judge others. Be a kind person who gives love and light and accepts love and light from others. I teach yoga. Don't judge. It's okay to not be okay. It's also okay that when you're not feeling okay, you can talk to someone without feeling like that's a weakness. It's not. Life, my friends, is what you choose. And so all situations, circumstances, experiences, and my friends, I'm going to tell you, no matter where you are in life, you'll have a lot of them. You choose the mindset. I think at the onset, life is about a mindset. You're either the victim or you're the victor. You either choose to be bitter or you choose to be better. Remember this. Your circumstances, situations, your experiences, they don't define you. They shape you. You become a result of the whole sum of life experiences. So your mindset every day plays such a significant role. And I'll tell you, when life knocks you down, you get back up. That's called resiliency. That's called grit. That's called like perseverance, man. Listen, perfection doesn't exist in life. It never has. It never will. Just do your best. Get up, dress up, and show up. And if you can do that and also be present, just do your best. Have a growth mindset, not a fixed mindset. And when things happen and you have to respond, listen, not react. Remember, always use the I over the E. That's intellect over emotion. That's right. Never the E over the I. Intellect over emotion. I've got, I call it the 4 T's. Take time to think. I always say, listen, it will be okay. Breathe. You know, it takes 2 seconds to make a bad choice. It could take some 30 years to recover from that one choice. Stop and think before you choose your words, your behaviors, and your actions. I need you to be an upstander in difficult situations. If you know something, do something. If you see something, say something. As a friend, as a leader, you have a responsibility to your friends and your school community, to people who look up to you and to people you look up to. You have a responsibility for their well-being, their safety. And if they can't think clearly for themselves, it's part of your responsibilities to help them with the caring heart. You know, my friends, one of the other things that we often neglect is self-care. One of the biggest things people miss in their well-being is taking care of themselves. Listen, you can't pour from an empty pitcher. And so self-care isn't selfish. Self-care is necessary. Again, I do yoga, and so yoga has been such a light in my life and my well-being. And I don't do yoga necessarily to get better at postures and breathing. I do yoga to get better at life. And speaking of self-care, I want to give you 3 things that everyone needs. Sleep. Number 1, sleep. I think young people need 8 hours of uninterrupted sleep, and if you're ugly, I think you need more. Now, I'm not saying you're ugly, but sometimes we don't get enough sleep, and that affects our attitude. We have an ugly attitude. Get some sleep. Number 2, nutrition. You know who's best friends? Sugar and depression. So more water, less soda. More protein, less carbs. It's that simple. Less processed foods. And the third thing, put the devices down and get more involved. Be a teenager, man. Stop worrying about what people think, what people feel, what people might say. Go out and hoot and holler, yell and scream, and enjoy the journey of life. Get involved. What is success? You know, we go to school and we want to be successful. But what is success? We want something that we don't even know what it is. Now, I learned through my journey, my own struggles, life. Success to me has come down to just 3 simple questions. Is my life meaningful? Is my life fulfilling? Is my life rewarding? That is it. Those 3 questions. Is my life meaningful? Is my life fulfilling? And is my life rewarding? I challenge you to ask yourself those 3 questions. Pastor Jeremy, I don't know, maybe you can write that down, and next time you meet with young people, let's talk about it. And if you can't say yes to those 3 questions, then I need you to spend more time looking in the mirror. And I'll tell you, if you don't like that reflection that looks back in the mirror, don't blame it on the mirror. I need you to spend more time there. Spend more time where it's uncomfortable, because you got to get comfortable being uncomfortable. I think, is my life meaningful? I had Pastor Jeremy reach out to me and say, hey, Jeff, we need some help out here. And I get an honor to share a little message from my heart to yours. You know, one of the greatest things I've learned in my life is it's not about me anymore. And I think when we're young, we're trying to figure out ourselves, it's about us. But it really isn't. How can you live to find a purpose that is bigger than you? That's value. It's having a purpose. Purpose gives you hope. My friends, I want to give you 5 things that'll shape your well-being. 5 things. And I want you to remember these 5 things. Number 1, hope. Don't ever lose hope. And again, hope comes from having a purpose in life. Personal responsibility. Like, I don't want to sound like a parent. I don't want to be a teacher, coach. I don't want to be, the authoritative here, but personal responsibility. You have a responsibility in life that if you're not feeling well, nobody will know how you're feeling if you don't say something. So part of that responsibility is not just be where you should be, doing what you should do at the time you should be doing it, but personal responsibility is it may not be your fault, but it's your responsibility from this point forward. Asking for help, your attitude, your choices, your behavior, that mindset. Don't be the victim, be the victor. Don't be bitter, choose to be better. Self-advocacy. Listen, the world owes you nothing. But I'll tell you, if you learn to ask, and I'll tell you, the more you're willing to ask, the answer arrives. So when I say advocate for yourself, do it in a respectful and a tactful manner. You need something, you ask for it. And number 4, education. Listen, I'm pro-education, but education is so much bigger than just being in a classroom. Education is bigger than, those core classes of English and math and science and social studies. And education is every day. This is education. Education is that growth mindset, not the fixed mindset. And then number 5, have a support network. Have people in your trusted circle that you can reach out to, that are there for you, and you're there for them. 5 simple things. So my friends, I know many of you have questions, and the pain in many of your hearts is almost unbearable. Believe me, I get it. I understand. I listen to suicide every day, and every day I can't explain the hurt in my heart, trying to get the words to adequately describe the pain that I feel when I hear the death of a young person, and especially the death of a young person by suicide. My friends in my office here in Florida, I have people from all over the world that come to me or bring a loved one to me. Just yesterday, I spent a whole day with an 18-year-old. I'm so proud of this young lady, respectfully transgender, using pronouns here. I'm proud of the courage that this person had to show up and find a safe space in the space that we created together. I'm going to tell you right now, by far the worst self-harm cutting I have ever seen. And so I'll refer to this individual as Lee. Lee had blood all over the arms, scars, burning. I stayed calm, but I'll tell you, it was the worst I'd ever seen. Within a couple hours, by late afternoon, I had Lee fully trusting in me and feeling good about the plan that we created together. And Lee is getting the right treatment that Lee had previously never knew existed, or how to go about asking for help. My friends, I understand where many of our youth are feeling, and not because I work in this field, but also because I, too, am a man that lives with mental health conditions. I'm diagnosed with bipolar type 2, PTSD, and major depression. But I'm also the healthiest. I'm the happiest, and I'm the most present that I've ever been, because I work on being in recovery every day. I have tools that I've learned through years of asking and seeking help. And I want this for you. I want to show you that you too can live a healthy, happy, and vibrant life, even if you're experiencing dark thoughts that you don't understand. But remember, we cannot help if we don't know that someone needs help. Let's talk suicide. My friends, it's the most preventable kind of death, and I wish that we could normalize the conversation around mental health and silence the stigma, making it okay for a person to say, I'm just not okay right now. And that having a counselor or a therapist, a coach or a teacher just someone to be able to talk to is okay, and it's not seen as a weakness, because it's not. I mean, think about it. All successful people have a mastermind group, or sports psychologists, personal life coaches, nutritionists, assistants, family, etc. It's like a personal coach in one's life. I'm living proof of being on the darkest sides of thoughts and feelings, rejection and abandonment, or feelings of being alone and being in disappointment. And so, coming from where I've come from to where I am, I can say, I love this conversation, because I can look at you and say, me too. I get it. But I also can say to you, hey man, so what are you going to do about it? I don't want you to be a victim. Again, this is about a mindset for the most part. It starts there. It starts with the courage to say, I want to be better. I want to do better. Motion changes emotion. And so I'm challenging you to choose to be the victor. Choose not to be bitter. This is a mindset. I ask you to be compassionate and empathetic. But I also ask you to have the courage and the strength to not choose the brokenness in the stories that we hear every day. You can do better. You can choose to be better. My friends, I'm totally transparent, and I'm not afraid to tell my story, because my story is my strength, and my story has become my strength. And I share this with you because I've had to understand a lot about mental health firsthand. And if you want to know more about me, you can visit my website, jeffyalden.com, and you can see the work I do now. I'm the Director of Operations and Technology at Here Tomorrow, a mental health collaborative in Neptune Beach, Florida. That is a brand new concept in mental health care that I'm trying to write a plan to bring all over to communities around the world. My friends, years ago, I made a decision to choose to address my thoughts and feelings when I started to realize that I was the problem with most things that I was blaming others for. I started to realize that much of the feelings and the thoughts that I had weren't because of my parents or teachers or coaches or girlfriends, him or her, this or that. But when I looked in the mirror one day, I started to realize that all my problems were because of me. I was the problem. It was then that I wanted to be in control and not let my emotions or thoughts and feelings own me, but I wanted to learn to own them, and I wanted to learn what can I do to develop tools and coping skills to not live like this, but to be better. Listen, if you're still here, number one, thank you. I'm going to tell you something you need to know. You need to understand this. People come into your life for one of two reasons. They either come to plant seeds or they come to pick the fruit, and they walk away. I'm here to plant seeds. And so with that, I ask you to have a growth mindset to what I'm sharing with you. This isn't about mental health and suicide prevention as much as it's about you and your life. 90% of suicides today is related to a mental illness, a mental health condition, such as depression. But then we can get into depression, and that's a whole different conversation. I believe, growing up today, young people, mental health conditions is more than what is clinically diagnosable. That's another conversation. And I don't want to disrespect that, and I don't want to make what I'm talking about like this is just young people being young people, because it's not, and it's not your fault. But I think at the very onset, many people today, it's about mental health challenges, not mental health crises, like stress and anxiousness, being anxious about something, being overwhelmed, and these feelings of being alone or disappointment, a burdensomeness, and more. Those are challenges. But when challenges start to affect our thoughts of wanting to harm ourselves or harm other people, that turns into the crisis. Again, another conversation. But then let's go a little bit deeper. It's the unknown of how one is feeling it or why they're feeling this way. And then a little bit of a avoidance of these thoughts and feelings because we don't know what to ask or how to say how you might be feeling. And then you have a fear of wanting to talk to someone because you think that they might judge you and think that you're crazy. My friends, you're not crazy. And you're not alone in how you're feeling. And what this comes down to is learning to have tools and coping skills. It's learning to not let these feelings and emotions build up and manifest into something that leads to unhealthy thinking and behaviors that aren't healthy or conducive to your wellness, your well-being, healthy living, which you deserve. And so again, I say, if we don't speak out, we will act out. And then think about this. Day after day, week after week, month after month. It's easy to lose ourselves and turn to self-medicating or reckless behavior, cutting, self-harm, because that becomes a way of coping with what we are feeling. That is self-harm. And why? Well, because it makes you feel better, but temporarily, right? But you know that this isn't a healthy way of coping. It's a way of coping. Self-harm is a way of coping. And for that, I say, hey, I understand. And it's your way of saying, I want help. I don't want you to see what I might be doing, but I'm doing it because I want someone to say something, but I don't really want you to say something. Listen, self-harm is a way to feel better. Not the right way, but I can also give you the same benefit in a healthy way that you're seeking in an unhealthy way. But you got to make the choice. To choose to feel better is called coping with life, and self-harm isn't the healthy way to cope and deal with life. Because temporarily, but you're not dealing with the problem and learning how to effectively process and move through it. My friends, we got to deal with tough times. And that's why when you open up and talk to someone, you'll get tools. And that's a whole nother conversation, but self-care is important. Having tools is important. Let me ask you another question. Like I just kind of said, if I could give you the same result you might be seeking through self-medicating or reckless behavior, cutting, but I give it to you in that healthy manner, would you want that? And you probably say, well, sure. Well, it's pretty easy. It's just having the courage to speak up and ask for help. It's having the courage to ask for help and finding the right person that you feel that you can connect with. But you're afraid because you don't want to be judged. You don't want to be fixed, I know. But you want your feelings to be validated and respected. I understand that. You want someone to listen to you, even though you're not sure what to say and don't want to say it to someone who doesn't know you, right? I know. I get it. My friends, today, there's so much resting on you. Expectations, pressure, family, school, the pandemic, social isolation, social media, all this leads to feelings of being alone or a burden. You add COVID on top of it. You add being on and connected 24/7, 365. Like people don't have a day off anymore. But once these feelings, let's just call them red flags, start to appear, that is the moment that you want to start talking to someone. But who? A mental health professional? I don't want to talk to them. No, not necessarily. Maybe a friend, a parent, a teacher, or a coach. Someone you know. Someone you trust and respect. And you'll find out that what you're thinking and feeling is normal. And everyone goes through this. You're not alone in these thoughts and feelings or in trying to figure out life. Many people tell you, like I'll tell you right now, I'm 50 years old, I'm still trying to figure out life. Like on a Saturday morning, why am I here to a community that I don't really know? You want to know why I'm here? Because this has become my purpose in life. And so if you're listening even to this point, then it was worth coming in on Saturday to be able to give hope and share a message of love and light. Maybe one person is going to make a phone call today to say, hey, I'm here. I want you to know I love you. Why don't we get together and sit down and talk? I can only imagine. My friends, I'll tell you, when you start talking, you'll find out it's more than just feelings and thoughts. I don't know, maybe sometimes it's in your head. Those, neurotransmitters, or rather there's a problem with the communication between the neurons in the brain. That's called neurotransmitters. But again, I don't want to get into the science of this. An example is the level of neurotransmitters, where serotonin is lower in individuals who have depression. Also, today, young people are dealing with a chemical called dopamine. It comes from our devices, and with social media and devices, we're calling it the dopamine effect. And all this affects moods and appetite and our sleep and the body's circadian rhythm, blah, 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 right? And so with all of this being said, and if we are not reaching out for help and it progressively gets worse, then think that, again, day after day, week after week, month after month, combined with the habituation to psychological pain and those fearsome experiences, to repeated exposure to those painful and provocative events, the brokenness that gives feelings of possibly a desire to end one's life. My friends, I know many of us are broken. Many of us come from broken homes, but being broken doesn't mean we can't be healed. Even a broken crayon has a beautiful color. You see, I don't think young people want to die. But suicide, the finality of it, I also think young people don't understand that. You know what people want is they want the feeling, they want the pain, the feeling to end. This pain doesn't end immediately. It doesn't end if we are not addressing the when, the where, and the why of how we are feeling. My friends, be okay with being comfortable, being uncomfortable, and asking for help and getting to know why you might be thinking and feeling this way. You don't have to live in this pain with such strong and unhealthy emotions, living in silence. And so for all the parents and adults that are listening, I challenge you to remember the two questions that people ask one another every day. And this is especially true for our youth seeking these trusted adults in their life. It's simple. Question number one, can I trust you? Number two, do you care about me? I know probably many of you have already shut this off because whatever. But I bet you if you might still be listening, it comes down to those two questions. I feel like I can trust this guy. This guy gets us. I feel like this guy cares about our community. My friends, that's it. Don't try and fix it. Don't offer advice. Remember, compassionate listening. Just listen and breathe. Relationships matter. Finding peace in these troubled waters. Listen with compassion. And listen with compassion lowers the anxiety. So I invite you to be present in that energy that you are creating together. And then here's something I often say. Hey man, are you venting and you just want me to listen? Or do you want my advice? And when someone knows that you're willing to listen, then a lot of times they're like, well, yeah, sure. I'd love to hear what you might have to say. And then you can make a plan and do what is right. My friends, speak up, reach out, and be okay with the process. There's a fixed mindset, there's a growth mindset. I want you to adopt the growth mindset and always look to learn and be the best version of yourself. I don't know, perhaps you're dealing with something bigger. Situations, circumstances that are beyond your control. Remember, again, I say everything we experience, we go through, those circumstances, challenges, obstacles, friends, and family drama, everything shapes you, it teaches you. Lessons about life are learned every day. And through this, you have a choice. Victim, victor. Bitter or better. I've chosen to have zero regrets in my life and to look at all things in my life as learning experiences that continue to shape me into the man that I am today. And I want this for each and every one of you. I want to spend a couple minutes talking to you about a serious problem for people today. Our devices, smartphones, tablets. And I get it, I think it's one of the greatest inventions in life. Social media. Yeah, but hold on. Don't get ahead of me. Like you, again, I think some of the greatest advancements in development, more so than I think even bread and butter. And I love bread and butter. Listen, I think cell phones, the social media, the internet, pressures, colleges, grades, friends, family, and so much of this plays a significant role day to day, adding up to more and more pressure to have to handle. And then we've been hit with this pandemic and isolation, the government, riots, and the opinions of people who aren't objective to truth and reality. This blasphemy. So what do? I've learned to focus on me and my self-care, my inner circle, my health and my well-being. I've learned to focus on my boundaries and creating balance in my life. I've learned to say no and to understand that I can't make a difference in the world, but I can make a difference in my small circles, my close-knit friends, and to my neighbors, and to the people I get to work with. This is where I focus. Where someone like Pastor Jeremy reaches out to me and becomes a new friend. Thanks, Pastor Jeremy, and thank you for trusting in me to share my heart. My friends, have you ever been disappointed? Sure. You ever wonder where disappointment comes from? It comes from our expectations not being met. And so we go through life and we expect this of our parents, this of our coaches and teachers and friends, our bosses, our significant others. What if you reframe, change the narrative from what you might expect to start focusing less of what you expect and more focus on what you can bring to situations? See, put it on you. You self-advocate. You take the responsibility. You develop your support system. You create your best self-care plan. You be you and you be awesomely you. I don't know if that made sense. Self-care isn't selfish. Again, yoga, it's been one of the greatest things I've ever learned to do. I'm actually a yoga teacher. I take baths with bath bombs and essential oils, lavender on my bed, my sheets, and my pillows. Okay, too much there. But it's what makes me happy and it lifts me. Gratitude, compassion, empathy for others, but also learning you can't carry the darkness or the brokenness of others, of what they might be going through. It's also about being graceful. It's forgiving people who may have hurt you and also forgiving yourself. As a matter of fact, I want to tell you my greatest regret in life. I've had to hurt people in the process of getting to know me, getting to know who I am. And I'm sorry, and I wish I didn't have to say that. But like your challenges in life will shape you, I am today what I have gone through to get to learn that I need to ask for help, and I did, and I'm proud of that. Again, it's not that people want to die. 90% of the people that have tried to take their lives and failed said that the moment they made that decision, they regretted it. What I feel, it's that suicide ends up being where the solution is too far out there, that the individual doesn't see a solution to solve their problems in the now. And therefore that they think that they'll never be able to solve this temporary situation and move on. It is temporary. What you are going through right now, and it might be hard to understand, but it is temporary. It will be okay. It's okay to take time out and maybe put the devices down for a week or a month and get away from being on 365, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. It's okay to just breathe and know you need some time to reframe and change this narrative that's in your head. And it's okay to ask for help, to get someone to help you with that. But the here and the now is all we know, and it's not your fault. I mean, think about it. We have texting and cell phones to instantly connect and someone instantly responds. We have Snapface and TikTok and Instagram where you immediately get likes. And if you don't get enough likes, you take the picture or the post down because you don't feel you're worthy or popular enough. We all want to be instant celebrities and we want acceptance by everyone except the losers, right? Losers. Why does it even have to be losers in life? Why do we judge? In the process of getting to know me, I learned that those that judge haven't looked at their imperfections and addressed themselves first. I've become one of the most non-judgmental people in the world because I think that if I'm judging someone, I'm not looking at the imperfections I have, and I have many of them. So we judge others because it's easier than addressing our own issues. We make ourselves feel better by putting others down. And we do that to show that we're better by comparison. Rather, I learned to live with love, grace, and hate is not something that I'm a part of or who I am or what I want. I want to accept and love all people, places, and things. I want to address my thoughts and my feelings and emotions and inspire and lift others. And I can't do that if I don't take care of me first. And so I go back to those 3 questions I asked you earlier. Is your life meaningful? Is your life fulfilling? Is your life rewarding? Life isn't right now. Life isn't a race, it's a journey. And if you don't appreciate the journey, you'll never be grateful for what the end can be. For our young people, I want you to understand that for those that inspire and influence our youth, please know that it's not about us anymore. We don't teach math, we don't teach science and social studies, English, foreign languages. We teach young people first, our subject area is second, and always remember, when you touch the heart, the mind will follow. And so for all of us, what's important is we wake up, we dress up, we show up, we do our best being present in whatever we are doing. And I promise the answers come when you're willing to ask the questions and you're willing to invest in yourself. My friends, our system is broken, but it can be fixed. Our families and communities are broken, but it can be fixed. And remember, you're either part of the problem or you're part of the solution. You're either the victim or the victor. You're either bitter or you're better. You choose to be better. Don't be bitter. Answer those questions and you'll see where you fit into the equation. Be the change. Be the inspiration. Be the model. Be the love and light in the world. We're all responsible. But that means we all need to ask the better questions. Not why me or why this or why that. It's how. Ask better questions. How can I feel better? How can I be better? How can I self-advocate and get the answers to my questions? How can I serve and help others? The most important thing in your life right now is your self-esteem. People ask that every day. Jeff, what do you think our young people need? And I say self-esteem. And I'll tell you, I believe in you. You're smart. You're capable. You've got the ability. But my words mean nothing if you don't believe those words yourself. So I challenge you to value yourself, to make good choices, your attitude, your confidence. Take time to breathe. Ask for help when needed. Slow down. Relax. I promise that it's going to be okay. Life doesn't happen fast like you're used to. Text, you get a response. Phone call, someone answers. Put an ATM card in, cash comes out. Social media, you get likes. We're all growing up in a superficial world and it's having it our way with us. Not just young people, but adults. It's happening with teachers as well, counselors, administration. But you know, adults for the most part, they've learned how to cope and process their pain and their issues. Not all adults. I challenge you to turn off your phone a little bit. Take time outs. Practice self-care. Being present with others. And 3 things I think are really important for our teens today. And parents, again, enforce this. We need to take it seriously. Let's go back to that sleep, nutrition, and get our young people more involved. Here's a lot of my theory. A person feels they're a burden to others, meaning that they don't make any notable contributions to the world, or they feel like they're a liability and disappointing someone, whether it's family, friends, workers themselves. Or on the other side, a person feels they're alone, which means that they don't have meaningful relationships. And so if this pain in their heart lasts long enough, they start to have that desire to want to end their lives. This is life. It's not easy. It's not fair. But we learn and grow every day. That is life. And that's where self-esteem comes from. So again, I challenge you. That purpose, you wake up every day, you brush your teeth, you wash your face, you do your dance, and you walk out that door. Own you. Own your imperfections. Own your growth as a person. And I promise, on the other side of battling fear in life situations is self-esteem. And don't let anyone take that from you. But you got to do the work, man. 90% of suicides preceded by clues that we didn't notice. Well, why should we notice when we aren't looking for it? Yeah, I know, I understand. Listen, the individuals that are on the school's radar aren't necessarily the ones that we need to look out for. Today, it's a lot of school communities saying, Jeff, we didn't even know there was a problem. There were no signs. This is the last person that we would have ever expected. I know. Mental illness shouldn't be labeled and have a stigma that goes with it. Mental illness, or I should say the mentally strong, are the ones that aren't afraid to ask for help and aren't afraid to have the conversation to help normalize it. And what we can all do better is saying, I'm proud of you for asking for help. Listen, best thing I've ever done for myself, being a man that lives with mental health conditions, is ask for help and continue to seek help and practice self-care every day as a priority in my life. I hear all too often the school should do something, or why aren't they doing something? My friends, I'll tell you, ain't no school administrator is ever given a certificate on how to handle a suicide, and every suicide is different. Not that it's right or wrong, but every suicide is different and affects the school community differently. Your school administration and counselors are asking questions and wanting to serve and help everyone, from the students, teachers, staff, parents, and the community. A school administrator has two responsibilities: protect their staff and their teachers. Protect your students. But remember, when you take care of your staff and your students, your staff and your students, or your staff and your teachers are taking care of the students. Everybody is in pain, but we need to protect one another. Open hearts, compassion, empathy, understanding, non-judgmental. Be the love and light, don't carry the darkness. And another thing, copycats. Oftentimes, a suicide can trigger strong suicidal ideation amongst other people. And that's always a major concern, and we want to cut that off. We want to cut that off quickly and now. Ask for help. Speak up. If you see something, say something. If you know something, do something. It's the right thing to do. You're so instrumental, each and every one of you, in saving a life and giving someone hope. My friends, it gets better. Life gets better. But I will admit that sometimes pain lasts forever. It does. But when we address these thoughts and feelings, we learn to come to this point of acceptance. And we learn how to, not that it gets better, because that pain is always there, but we learn to deal, and it makes us stronger. Today is temporary. You will grow from what you're going through. You may never live through something so traumatic ever again. My friends, you're growing every day, and that is why I ask you to show up and be present in everything you do. All of these life situations, struggles, challenges, breakups, this doesn't happen to us, but everything we go through happens for us, because everything we experience in life, it shapes us and conditions us. Everything teaches us. We grow through tough times. And so the responsibility is simple. If we're going to have this internet and cell phones and social media platforms, then I do believe our government needs to provide the adequate care for what this brings. Simply put, We're giving our young people rights and privileges that they're not emotionally capable of handling. And the consequences that this brings without even knowing it leads to so many other things. Mental health issues and conditions is not just being put in our government. COVID has come in, and since COVID, mental health conditions have increased 15 to 25%. And now we're going into another variant, or we're in there expected to be worse than the first. And I'm seeing it as being that. But again, don't be the victim, be proactive. Start learning about you and preparing yourself mentally, emotionally, and physically for whatever this might become or whatever might become next. 5 out of 5 people have physical health, and 5 out of 5 people also have mental health. I told you, growing up today, it's harder than it's ever been. Parenting harder than ever. Teaching harder than it's ever been. And we're all faced with greater responsibilities and personal challenges than we've ever been faced with before. Resiliency and grit. Lose your pride and ego. It's okay to not be okay, and it's okay to ask for help when you're not feeling right. That's that personal responsibility I'm asking you to take. You don't have to have answers to what you're going to do in life right now. You don't need to compare yourself to your friends. You don't need to think about your significance in the world or what your legacy is going to be. What we need to teach and learn is coping skills and problem solving skills. We need to learn to like ourselves, accept who we are, see the little gifts that we are afforded, see the good in the world. We need to not judge or compare or find compassion and kindness to ourselves and others. That's what we need. So I ask you as we move forward, what do you see when you look in the mirror? Because that's where it starts, today, this moment. And if you don't like what you see, don't blame it in the mirror. Spend more time there. Take that responsibility. Ask those better questions. Spend more time being comfortable, being uncomfortable. And I promise you'll start to figure it out. Be more concerned with the person that you are rather than how people see you or how you look. Life will change when you choose to change yourself, because nothing changes if nothing changes. Take care of this, your heart, your soul. Not this, that'll take care of itself. And so as I close, I'd like to offer some suggestions as you all move forward. My friends, I'd like to invite you to open your heart today and forever, and to know that you have those people in your life. And they're always wanting to be there to help you answer life's toughest questions. Learn from each other. Learn from one another. Lean on one another, your family. And don't ever be afraid to reach out and ask for help. And remember, you matter. Don't ever think that you're alone or you're a burden or you're a disappointment. Not to your family, your teachers, your friends, one another. Everyone matters. And please let me share a quick message to our teachers and staff. Thank you. Remember, you make a difference every day. So many questions, in many cases, yet so few answers. But we're all responsible. We're responsible for ourselves and one another. Remember, a simple gesture, a kind word, a note of appreciation, a simple smile. You touch the heart, the mind follows. And we need to move forward together. And for our young people, we need to move forward for ourselves. And I want to give you this permission and say it as sensitive as I can. We can't be defined by this loss or any loss. We can't be defined by this year or last year. My friends, last night, I found out that a dear friend of mine of 25 years had died unexpectedly. I'm sad. My heart hurts. I understand how many of you are feeling. It's a very sad time, a time that affects us. But it's a time where we're all growing, and as hard as it is, it will shape us. We're not victims, we're victors. And so I tell you, this will either expose wounds or it will build muscle. My friends, it's your choice how you choose to respond, but it is your responsibility how you move forward. Allow yourself to grieve on your terms. There's no timetable. And it's okay to feel. It's also okay to talk about these thoughts and feelings. That is never a weakness. My friends, stay beautiful. My friends, I need you to know that I'm thinking of you all. And if you ever want to reach out to me, I'm in Neptune Beach, Florida. My office number is 904-372-9087. Our website at Here Tomorrow is heretomorrow.org. Like I told you, I'm the Director of Operations for Here Tomorrow and still serve communities as much as I can. Pastor Jeremy, and to all of you in Tobacco and the Flathead Valley communities, thank you for what you do. Thank you for who you are, taking care of one another. My friends, I love you all, and I'm here for you. God bless.